With less than 1 week till the arrival of Black Ops 4 and the brand new zombies experience that comes with it, I thought it would be best to go back and talk about my top 10 zombies maps from previous Treyarch games, going all the way back to World at War. Now, a little disclaimer, this video is purely opinion based. My favourite maps are based off my experience with them. This is in no way a factual list. So let's get down to it with number 10. Number 10! Buried. Buried is on here for two reasons. The first being it was my first zombies map I was actually good at, and the second being that in hindsight, it was an incredibly easy map to master. So back when it was fresh, I had the best time with it out of all the other maps. And yes, that includes Origins and Mob of the Dead, simply because I could actually do it. But after a while I began to get bored, and the same strategy every game over and over again was just becoming laborious. But for a time, it was arguably my favourite zombies map, until I actually got good at the others. Number 9. Nacht... Shit, let me try that again. Nacht der Untoten. Nacht der Untoten will always have a special place in almost every zombie player's heart. The Call of Duty Zombies game mode we know today was born from this map. A simple after credits Easter egg built a mode that would quickly become one of the main reasons people bought Call of Duty year after year. Except the years it wasn't in there, and let's not talk about non-Treyarch zombies, please. I'll save that for another video probably. And it also built a storyline that would also last the next 10 years, spanning 4 different games, and still find ways of keeping the community invested whilst also continuously building upon this massive universe the talented minds at Treyarch created. All of this started with a breakout hit that was Nacht der Untoten, and that's why I still love it today. Number 8. Kino der Toten is simply iconic. No way to contest that. From its creepy, eerie environment to being the first map to introduce arguably the best wonder weapon ever, the Thunder Gun. At the same time, Kino had such an element of mystery to it that I felt compelled to play in order to understand more about the map. Why did the teleporter take you to these locations that varied from a normal girl's room to a nightmarish version of it? What was this place? It was the first time that I felt like killing zombies took a backseat to the more compelling visual storytelling that Kino der Toten gave off. Number 7. Moon. Moon was the last DLC for Black Ops 1, and when compared to its final DLC counterparts, them being Origins and Revelations, we won't count Der Riese, but you know it's in there, Moon arguably has the best ending out of all 3 of them. I mean, you literally blow up the Earth. I mean, sure, it gave birth to terrible maps such as Transit and Die Rise, but still, the Easter egg for Moon took the genre to new heights, and I feel that's what maps such as Origins and Revelations lacked, with Revelations feeling almost rushed, and Origins being unnecessarily confusing with its ending. I liked the idea of Moon because it asked the question, what if our heroes lost? The Earth is now a Mad Max style wasteland, and we're left with the fate of the original crew of Takeo, Dempsey and Nikolai still unknown to this day. With Moon, you knew that whatever happens next in the storyline, nothing would ever be the same for zombies. Number 6. Der Riese / The Giant. Der Riese was the second zombies map I ever played. After I made the odd choice to buy the last DLC in World at War without getting any of the others, so when I played it for the first time, it was a massive departure from the regular Nacht der Untoten gameplay I was already so well adjusted and used to. Instead, there was actually things to do. And it was also a first appearance of the iconic Pack-a-Punch machine. There was stuff like turn on teleporters, get the power on, and this addition of other tasks meant that surviving tire rounds became much more difficult than the hide in the corner and aim for the head style of Nacht der Untoten. And thanks to Treyarch remastering Der Riese into a Giant, it kind of proves that this map still holds up to the maps we get today. Number 5.
We're completely surrounded! We're completely fucked!
Honestly, I absolutely hated this map when it first came out. I hated George, I didn't like the water effect on the player where you kind of froze and the screen went all icy, whatever. I simply didn't enjoy the aesthetic of the map at all. However, after a while, I returned to Call of the Dead, and thanks to having a bit more experience under my belt, I welcomed its challenge. and in the end it actually became the first map I had ever completed a solo Easter egg on, and for that accomplishment alone I loved it even more, and I still return every now and again when I feel like taking a bit of a nostalgia trip. Number 4. Shadows of Evil. Shadows of Evil, for the time being, is Treyarch's crown jewel of maps. It is a technical achievement, from its map design to its setting, its beautiful scenery, and its popping colours and soundtrack perfectly capture the aesthetic of the time period they were hoping to replicate, whilst also throwing in the standard zombies aspects we've come to know over the last few years. It took a tired formula and made it brand new, with the addition of new mechanics such as gobblegums that will come to be a vital aspect of your survival in these new age maps. I love Shadows of Evil simply because there is so much to do, and that creates a lot of replay value, which is why when I go back to Black Ops 3, it is my default go-to map. Number 3.
This ain't right. Something weird's going on here.
You don't say, Weasel. Where are those screams coming from?
Oh shit.
Black Ops 2 has one of the strangest seasons of zombies to date. The game gave us the widely acknowledged worst zombies map of all time, Transit, whilst also giving us ones that are considered to this day the greatest of all time, that being Mob of the Dead and Origins. But for this we'll focus on Mob of the Dead, because that is my favourite out of the two. At the time, it was such a strange shift from a previously established narrative of Transit and Die Rise. Instead of focusing on the Victus crew, we meet an entirely new group, consisting of Alcatraz convicts Finn O'Leary, Albert Louise Lawlington, Sal DeLuca, and Billy Handsome, who I might add is voiced beautifully by Ray Liotta. And with these new characters, Treyarch somehow made me care about them and their plight more than the already established Victus crew, which kinda says a lot about the state of the other two maps. I loved everything about this map. I liked the difficulty, the setting, new weapons like the Hell's Retriever, the Blundergat, the upgraded version, the Acid Gat, and I liked that it was the first zombies map to have a game-ending Easter egg, with the game finishing after the cycle is broken. Number 2. Ascension. Ascension is my second pick for a few reasons, the first being that I absolutely loved the map design. The Cosmodrome still holds up today. The steps to get the Pack-a-Punch were challenging but overall fairly simple, making it still kinda noob-friendly for newcomers to the series. It was also the first map to have a proper Easter egg, and it arguably paved the way for the latest map's Easter eggs. Similar to how Knack paved the way for more complex map ideas, Ascension helped pave the way for more complex and story-driven Easter eggs. Not to mention, it was the first appearance of one of the best perks ever that is yet to make a comeback in the series. My boy, PhD Flopper. May you rest in peace. Number 1. Number 1 is Der Eisendrache. Der Eisendrache was a complete surprise to me. After my immense enjoyment of Shadows of Evil, I didn't think that any zombies maps afterwards could top it. I was wrong. Der Eisendrache does just that. It beautifully combines several elements from previous maps, such as the Mob of the Dead style steps to get the Hell's Retriever are instead translated to the Wrath of the Ancients, a bow, which is the map's new wonder weapon, and also variations of the staffs from Origins, which in this map come in the form of elemental upgrades for the Wrath of Ancients, which become an essential part of the Easter egg, and your overall survival on the map. We also see the return of the Panzer, which isn't as big of a challenge as it used to be. I enjoyed the Easter egg and the ending cutscene that came with it, and that speaks for Black Ops 3 as a whole. They left the ambiguous storytelling behind in favour of a more cinematic story-driven experience. I also liked that with Der Eisendrache there is so much to do, like get the shield parts, get the Ragnarok parts. The Ragnaroks are actually very fun to use, and yeah, that's why Der Eisendrache is my number 1 zombies map of all time. And I hope that when Black Ops 4 comes out, something else will take number 1. And yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I shall see you in the next video, which will hopefully be next weekend when Black Ops 4 is out, and hopefully my pre-order will arrive. And I shall see you in a bit.
Ain't no shooter.